Well, hello lovely people. This is an oracle card reading from the Galactic Guidance System to provide some insight about the solstice and the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction that's happening on the 21st of December 2020. So the energy within Mayan astrology that's going to be taking place on that particular day is the energy of blue resonant hand. Now, blue resonant hand is all about the emotional evolution. It's all about the transformation of our pain to create spaciousness and life force energy. It's about the dismantling of the stories, the dismantling of the scars, really, so that we can free that energy up and then be able to relate with one another from a place of presence and create within our lives from a place of presence and choice, as opposed to the backstory running the show all the time. So we're in the wave spell of the red dragon as well. So the red dragon is all about birth. It's the first of the Mayan signs. You know, we're in the beginning of a brand new cycle. So it's absolutely no coincidence that this event is taking place now. And allegedly it is our entrance into Aquarius, and Aquarius being this very transformational new energy. And you know, if we look at what's been going on the planet, it totally makes sense that we are now moving into a completely new age. And I know that there's lots of fear, but there's always been lots of fear. It's just up on the surface now, and it does truly feel that it's all about what we're plugged into. It's all about where we're plugged into. So let's get a little bit of guidance about what's going to be coming in for us all. So just taking a moment with me, if you'd like to close your eyes as I call in the galactic guides. So calling in our Syrian guides to be with us now and to share wisdom to support us to align with the highest possible vibrational frequency reality. So praying that you show us where we need to focus in order to really utilise this wonderful conjunction that we've got. So where do we need to focus? What guidance is there in existence for us about this Saturn-Jupiter conjunction on the 21st and the energy of the solstice too? Just giving deep gratitude for all of the guidance that comes forward. Now, as I'm shuffling, I also would like to say that there is an event that I've decided to do. I decided this morning, it came in and it was like, come on, do it. So tomorrow, when on the 21st, when the conjunction actually hits, it's going to take place at 2 p.m. in UK time, and therefore this event is going to be to dance through the gateway and the portal. So you are so welcome to join. It's donation based. It's going to be a cacao ceremony and a cacao ceremony and also an ecstatic dance for 2.5 hours. And it's really about embodiment, you know, because this thing of this time, for me, this time is very much about us embodying. You know, it's really about being able to embody the ecstatic energy that's available to us, to be able to embody conscious energy, because I think a lot of us have had experiences of like ecstatic connection and heart opening when we have been fucked, when we've been partying, when we've been in different mentalities, and basically when we've not been in the human being vessel. So the reality is that, you know, when we are moving through these portals, if we are to align with them consciously and to really embody and open, you know, to embody from the space of, yes, I'm here, I'm human and I'm totally ready, then we have a greater space to receive the activation. But also, you know, we are working on behalf of humanity. You know, this new age that we're moving into, as I say, I feel it's about the embodiment of the power of the human being, the power of the individual human, which creates a powerful collective, you know, when we are consciously driving the ship. And in order to consciously drive the ship, we need to be in the ship, not out of the ship. So yeah, that's going to take place tomorrow, 1 p.m. till 3:30 p.m. UK time, and you are more than welcome to join. As I say, underneath the video I'm putting the link, the Zoom link, so you'll just be able to get straight in. I am totally open to donations, but it's not essential. We're also going to be doing a cacao ceremony, cacao being incredibly potent for Mayan civilization. You know, they brought the cacao to the world, and you know, for us to connect with the spirit of cacao and to open our hearts, it really supports the embodiment process. So we're going to be really gridded into like the earth consciousness with the cacao, and also the galactic consciousness with the guidance system that I've got, and the playlist that's come through is epic. So yeah, you are absolutely 100% welcome. Okay, so the energy that's there immediately, this is about being sovereign. You see? Sovereign Queen Maeve. So really this portal is taking us to the next step of what we've been working with collectively anyway. You know, it feels as if, especially in the past few years, this idea of sovereign has really been coming strong within our consciousness, because it is about, you know, and also within that, all of the things, all of the different movements and all of the different things that we've seen to counteract oppression in various forms, from, you know, gender to sexuality to race. This is about sovereignty when it comes down to it. You know, this is about no one having power over another. So the way in which we embody that consciousness is to get into the driving seat of our own lives, to be the king or queen or whatever you want to call your, you know, full embodiment of self, you know, where you are here and you're not necessarily driving, because as I keep mentioning within the guidance that's coming through, the driving is the following, but we are present and we are here, and we're allowed to follow the instinct, we're allowed to follow the synchronicity. So really, this is the up-leveling of humanity. This age that we are moving into is about us all being sat on our thrones and moving around the world on our thrones as well, and creating, you know, really new things. Now the thing that is in the way of this, has always been in the way of this, is shame. And the shame that has been very much conditioned into us through the patriarchal system, and the way in which, you know, and when I talk about the patriarchal system, I'm not talking about men, I'm talking about a system that's from masculine consciousness that is a triangle as opposed to a circle. And what happens within that triangle is that, you know, there's certain people on the top that are pulling the strings of life, and everybody else underneath. Now that is not to say that we are to be a victim to that, but we've been set up in that construct, so it's our responsibility to dismantle that construct for ourselves so that we are operating in circular consciousness. Now the way in which this takes hold is through shaming. So when we are feeling shame, shame is toxic for us. Shame is toxic for our consciousness, it's toxic for our bodies, it's just toxic, and it's also nonsense. It's the notion that we are unlovable, it's the notion of being rejected, it's the notion of being wrong, insidiously, internally wrong. And this is what we are here to dismantle the codes of, that we are beginning to, but we still have a journey with that. You know, the age of Aquarius is not just boom, we're in the height of the age of Aquarius. You know, there's a journey that we are beginning as we transition in, but the availability of being able to be in this sovereign power is opening more and more and more. Now the other aspect, you know, of this sovereignty that we are embodying, it's not just about being the ruler of ourselves, it's not just being about a free human, it's also about being an earth guardian. You know, as free humans, we are here to be the gatekeepers, we're the gatekeepers of the planet, you know, and when we are operating from a place of open-heartedness, we feel the connection to everything, and we transition from this toxic, shame-stimulated, mindless expression of reality where we are gorging ourselves and the planet and really taking without contemplation of what we are leaving behind and what the exchange is. So we have been living in this really out of balance space. So as we shift this, you know, not only are we becoming the gatekeepers of the earth again, you know, that certain cultures within the world have preserved, but most cultures of the world have been poisoned with shame. So therefore that ability, you know, something really landed for me within a container that I've been in, and it's been fucking phenomenal. But around this, it's the same consciousness that poisons the earth, that wants to destroy the earth, as it is that wants to destroy ourselves. When we poison ourselves with different toxins, when we do all of these things to our bodies without contemplation, you know, or we don't care about the consequence. We just want to eat that thing. We just want to drink that thing. We want to do whatever we want to do. But really what's coming in as we shift the shame, the driver for the toxicity is dismantled. So we're then coming into the space where, once again, we are in reverence and service to the planet. How can I live more gently? What do I need to do in order to give back to this beautiful planet? And not only that, like the more that we align with this Earth Keeper consciousness, this Earth Guardian consciousness, we're also gridding back into the lineage of our consciousness, where our elders really did take care of the earth. No matter where we were planted on the earth, you know, our lineage always stretches back to people that lived in harmony and in balance. So we're really aligning with all of that as well. And it's like the gateway with this sovereignty also provides us greater access to the ancestors. Now, the other aspect of this is that, you know, we are, as a people, gathering now. And it might not seem like we're gathering in the material existence because we're in this place of, you know, lockdowns and people can't move around, but on a consciousness level, you know, we have now got the internet, which is very much, you know, it was created when Saturn was in Aquarius the first time in my lifetime, last time, not the first time, but it was created within this energy. And what it's like the amount that we are able to connect with one another now is more strengthened and potent than ever before. You know, there were times where collectives of consciousness, you know, would gather for seasons in different places in the world and have wonderful connections. But now that all of that's paused, it's united the tribes, yes, in the internet space, but the reality is that we're finding one another, we're coming home, and we are awakening again together to this place of empowerment. So whatever happens within the near future, on the larger picture, we're going towards huge transformations on the planet. And that's really, as I say, this energy of Aquarius is all about the transformation of systems, you know. So the constructs that we live through are being transformed now, you know, they're beginning to be. So the other aspect, yeah, this is what I'm... So again, like, we're moving out of this consciousness where somebody else has got us as a puppet on the string, and recognising that, you know, it's all illusionary anyway. It's all illusionary anyway. Nothing is not about us, you know. So when our consciousness changes, there is nothing in the way. If there is something in the way, not in the collective narrative story, in our personal experience, if there is something coming into our personal reality that stops us from doing something, that limits us from doing something, we are a match to that on an internal level, and therefore bringing that into our own reality. If we don't have the victim consciousness inside, the disempowered code inside that matches that outer reality, we will just walk on by. There is honestly, from direct experience, a freedom that can only come from inside, you know, and it's super cliche, but it is the reality. So it's really important to grid out of the collective story, grid into the personal story. How free am I? What's coming into my personal reality? Why is that coming to me? What is inside of me that is bringing that into my reality? So again, within our collective, Many people have got this disempowerment code. Many people have got this oppression code that they've not yet transformed. So as a collective reality, that is what we are all creating together. So bring it back to the personal, sort out your shit, take off your shackles, and then we can move around with one another, supporting one another to take off our shackles. And we're all really shackled in different ways. So it's not that there's this like one group of people that's going to wander around the planet and sort everything out, because that's, again, that model. It's about all of us helping and supporting each other and inspiring each other and living our truth and being ourselves. So there's also a place within this to really drop into, and this is the guidance really that's coming through for the portal, is to really drop into this space where you are recognizing the perfection of your life. So recognizing what this period of the past 9 months has allowed to happen for you. See the divine plan, see the creator code, see the gift. Who has come into your life? How has it changed? What doors have opened? What has transformed within your life as a result of this seeming oppression, as a result of this seeming virus? What has shifted for you? Come into the space and map it. See God, see spirit, see and witness the divine order, and allow yourself then to drop into the knowing in your heart that everything is okay, and that we are only ever being guided toward orchestrated events when we were in form to support us to heighten our vibration, shedding that shame in order to heighten the vibration of the collective experience on planet Earth. And there was, you know, in the early 1900s, there was a number of people, you know, Western people, because Western spirituality has been, it just got murdered out, didn't it, you know, with the burning of the women, with the murdering of the women. But there was also, you know, in the early 1900s, there was like the Temple of the Golden Dawn and all of that gang, and there was like Steiner and Crowley and Blavatsky and, you know, these people that were of Western descent that were mapping from a very mental level the astral realms and supporting us to reconnect. And then the world wars hit and boop, all of that went underground again. So there's a space again for us to reconnect to that consciousness. So allowing yourself to tune into the people from the past that are no longer on the earth plane, because I think this is a really, for me personally, and maybe this is also coming through my guides as well, but I know for me personally, I have much more trust of the guidance of people when they're in spirit than the guidance of people when they're on the planet, you know, because we're all operating through the human being vessel, aligning with the highest aspect of who they are when they're in spirit, and making sure that your language allows you to connect with the highest aspect of who they are through saying something like, I want to align with the highest aspect of Rudolf Steiner to share wisdom and inspiration with me right now, you know. But connecting in with that and bringing that energy back is a really, really key point, as is connecting into the earth points. So connecting with the teachers that are no longer in the earth plane, reconnect to their teachings. There's something very much about like the rediscovery of what all those guys that I've mentioned were on about. We're really coming through another time where we're able to really anchor that and embody it, but also bring the feminine and bring the embodiment piece. And that's, I think, what they're trying to say now. It's like, it's not, we've been like, as a collective global society, we've had these like awakenings in different ways of different aspects of the human, but now what's happening is like it's all coming together because we're doing it from an embodied space. We're not doing it from the mind simply, we're not doing it simply from getting out of the body, we're doing it in the body. We're doing the transformation of all the shit that's in the way, because the reality is that once we don't have all of the shame and nonsense in the way, we don't even need a doorway to get in. We're in all the time. So all of these different practices and all of these different traditions from different cultures that have supported us to access the divine and have a blissful experience are wonderful, but they were simply pathways through the corruption and the distortion of the human being that we're now dismantling. So when that dismantles, we're not going to have to find pathways because we're going to naturally be in it. And again, you know, there are so many beings in the astral realms that are wanting to support us through this transition. You know, they are everywhere. There are so many of them. But we have to, our language is the key. Our language is the key to inviting different beings to work with us, different emanations of source, you know, however you want to see, you know, aspects of ourselves, whatever you want to fluff it up with. But our language is our intention, which shoots our arrow that opens the doorway to accessing and allowing these beings to work with us. So create an altar for tomorrow and invite something that feels resonant to you, whether that is Mary Magdalene, whether it's the archangels, whether it's your specific spirit guides, whether it's your ancestors, your grandparents, you know, that are no longer with you, whatever it is. Invite that spiritual support and connection into your life to help you with this transition. When people are out of form, physical form, they have more ability to see, to know, and to help. Look at that, that's a beauty, isn't it? So the balance is between self-control and unconditional love. Ooh, I've been really journeying this one recently. So the thing that they're really saying is that, you know, our self-control is very much about us being able to not get lost in the distortions that are really rampant on the planet right now. Our task is to be able to come back into that sovereignty through allowing ourselves to grid out. Okay, that is making me feel fearful. That is making me feel triggered. Boom, let it go, come into the internal realm. What is going on for me? How can I be with this and transform it so that I am not giving my power to it and losing my life force energy and therefore being drained? How can I dismantle that code within me that resonates with that, which therefore creates the trigger? Because once that's gone, it's not a match for us anymore, so it's not going to come in. So really this thing of the self-control piece, of being able to lovingly hold our space, lovingly sit with our emotions without having to react, without having to take away, without having to hide, without having to whatever we do, how can we become more disciplined? But with all that, holding this energy of unconditional love. You know, it's so easy for self-control to come through shame. And this is, you know, what we are now being asked to move out of, being invited to move out of, what we are moving out of, so that self-control comes through unconditional love, so that, so that we are coming from a space of, I love myself and therefore I won't do that. I love myself and therefore I will do that. As opposed to, I'm a really bad person if I don't do that. I'm a really bad person if I do that. This flipping of the shame into unconditional love is the transformational force. So really holding that inner child safe, because that's all the time. Whenever we're freaking out, it's the little one inside of us that's having a hard time. So really holding ourselves and being the protector, not only of the planet, but of our inner children, as well as our families, you know, our global families, you know, the inner children inside of us, and our families as well. Really coming into a space where we are holding back or stepping forward from a place of love, as opposed to a place of shaming. So I'm just going to read this one because it feels incredibly resonant. You are focusing purely on the negative, but there is also a positive side you are not seeing. Your mental attitude and thoughts can make things seem good or bad, beautiful or ugly. All is a matter of perception. What you think you shall become. Be positive, for behind the perceived darkness, there is much love, light and good fortune. So really the guidance that's kind of coming through, or not even necessarily guidance, it's more of an insight reading, isn't it, that's coming through, is that this is, it's the end of that, the puppet on the string story, and it's the beginning of this, the sovereign kings and queens that we are. And what's in the way is shame, and the ways in which we transform that are through unconditional love and self-control, motivated through unconditional love. So the other thing that I'd like to just say is for tomorrow, when the eclipse when the solstice hits, if you can be outside, that would be amazing. But to really be embodied, do whatever it takes to be embodied, whether that's going for a walk, whether that's connecting to the land, whether it's moving around on your mat or dancing. Be in your body and have your awareness open your awareness, be in your body. And as I said, I am doing an event tomorrow, the information about it's down below, it's on Zoom, it's happening at 1 o'clock till 3:30, so it's in the energy of the conjunction, so we'll be dancing over the bridge of the conjunction, and you know, we're really going to be in ecstasy for that. We're going to allow our process to take hold and allow ourselves to be the conduits of these astrological events, because yes, they will always affect us, but if we put our hand up and say, I'm up for it, the divine can work through us to utilise our physical human being portal bodies to be able to transmute what needs to be transmuted and to activate what needs to be activated in the collective human being DNA. You know, there's a really magical process that's happening. So giving deep gratitude to the galactic guides that have been with us, sending you so many blessings for the solstice and the conjunction, and I will see you on the other side. Take care.